Welcome to this DVD presentation on how to produce the perfect shot within netball. It was made by Ryan Povey, Sarah Carter and Jordan Street, and also the appearance of Ryan's little sister Grace. The aims and objectives of this DVD are all participants will be able to identify the key coaching points within a netball shot. Most participants will be able to perform a netball shot with a degree of success, meaning they'll understand the correct technique but not quite there with the skill in hand. Our extended objective is they will be able to perform a netball shot using the correct technique, and they will have a clear understanding when they can shoot and how is it used within a game situation. In this DVD, we have selected a number of activities and singled down specific warm-up and cool-downs with much research as possible. We did this in the hope to help an individual teach the perfect netball shot. We chose skill classification, warm-up, a breakdown of the activity, the main activity, the coaching the correct technique, a cool-down, and how it is a transferable skill. A netball court is 30.5 metres long, 15.25 metres wide and divided lengthwise into thirds. Before any teaching is able to take place, you need to check that the environment is clear and safe to be used. For example, if you look in the video now, you can see that this is an example of bad health and safety. A child could easily run into this, injure themselves, and possibly injure someone else too. Now this is an example of good health and safety. The next job is to check the participants' footwear, make sure their toes are covered and their shoes are suitable for the activity. Make sure all jewellery is removed and clothing is correct, sportswear preferably, and make sure hair, if it is long, it is tied up. To begin the DVD, we are going to give you a rough idea of what a bad technique of a netball shot looks like and a good technique looks like. We'll go into it more in depth later on in the video, but at the start we just want to make sure what we expect from you after this DVD. David Bishop 2003 stated that an active warm-up can both improve long-term and short-term performance. This is because it allows the athlete to start the task in a non-fatigue state with an elevated baseline oxygen consumption. This then allows the participant to carry out the task at a higher level. To start the warm-up, we had Grace throw the ball against the wall to warm up her arms. One-handed, she threw the ball against the wall and then catches with two hands. A further progression of this is to have the participant throw the ball with one hand and start catching it back with one hand. A progression further of this is to do the activity in pairs. Face the wall together, then one person will start the warm-up by throwing the ball against the wall, then the other player will catch it, and then so on. You need to be constantly moving and watching out for each individual so you don't bump into each other. If the participants found the activity of working in pairs too difficult, introduce this little activity here. They are both warming up their legs and their arms. Another alternative to this warm-up is the game killer. The game killer involves all participants, two balls and a netball hoop. Get everyone standing in a line, and the first person in that line will take a shot from the cone. Then the person behind them will be able to take a shot as soon as they have. If they get it in before them, then they win and that person is out. As you can see, we had Grace participate in this warm-up with us, and she found the height of the hoop incredibly difficult. So if you are playing with young children, instead of getting them to shoot in the hoop, have them do the same netball shot technique but against the wall when it's their turn, like so. This is how that alternative for a younger participant looks within the game situation. To end the warm-up, finish on dynamic stretches. So you jog from one hall to the other, and on the way back you do lunges, as shown here. To achieve the perfect lunge, stand tall with your feet hip width apart. Make sure you're engaging your core. Then take a big step forward with your right leg and start to shift your weight forward. Then your heel should hit the floor first. Lower your body until your right thigh is parallel to the floor and your right shin is vertical. It's okay if your knee shifts forwards a little as long as it doesn't go past your right toe. If mobility allows you to, lightly tap your left knee to the ground while keeping your weight in your right heel. Press into your right heel to drive back up to the starting position. Then you should repeat it on the other side. Each stretch should last for 8 seconds. To begin the main session off, introduce the skill by doing some one-to-one coaching, showing her the proper technique of how to achieve a netball shot. The coaching points of a netball shot are that your feet should be in a comfortable forward-facing position, not too far apart. You should have a balanced position with equal weight on both feet and hips facing the front. The ball held by the dominant hand and high above the head, and fingers should be point back and are slightly open, and the ball just sits in your hand. The second hand is placed at the side of the ball to steady its position. Elbows slightly flexed, lined in the direction of the post. The execution of the netball shot is that you should focus on the point above the ring to give you height to your shot. Power through the ankles by pushing up through slightly flexed knees. Maintain your balanced position. Flex your elbows, not allowing the ball to drop behind your head. Wrist flicks as the ball is released off the fingers in order to create a backward spin. Fingers follow the ball on a high trajectory towards the post, dropping into the ring. Aim to drop the ball through the net without it touching the ring. The next job was to introduce a main activity. It's a good activity to choose because it's the width of a semicircle within netball, so the participant can get a clear understanding of the distance she would be shooting in the game situation. How the session works is that first she will start on the red cone and take a shot. If she finds that too difficult, she will move closer to the white, and if she finds that too difficult, she will move closer to the blue. Fairbrother 2010 states that feedback is a fundamental component of the learning process. There are 2 types of feedback which are really going to benefit a learner's performance: intrinsic and augmented. We gave both in this session to fully be able to let Grace learn as much as possible. The next part of feedback is intrinsic, which is when the participant is understanding where they're going wrong and they can correct their own technique. In the video, you can see Grace trying to perform the perfect netball shot without the ball in her hand. She's practicing the right technique, but just without the ball. She's given herself feedback, she's learning from her mistakes, and she's teaching herself about the one-to-one coaching of us. In this part of the DVD is us producing augmented feedback to Grace. We're showing her one-to-one demonstrations and we're giving her clear and concise techniques to improve her netball shot. We stood back and monitored her, giving herself intrinsic feedback, and then we stepped in and said, this is what you could do and this is how you should learn better. After the technique is mastered in the little activity, then you can start to introduce the idea of working it into the circle, so then they are able to shoot in a game situation. The idea of the session was so that it mimicked the idea of running into the semicircle to receive the ball, then taking a shot in a game situation. We did this in the hopes that when we come to a game situation, she's more visual, she's more understanding that she needs to drive into the semicircle to receive that ball, and she understands clear and concisely where she is going to receive that ball. The average height of a netball hoop is 3.05 metres. So for a participant as short as Grace, it was hard for her to get into the netball shot. So if a participant is struggling, we suggest lowering the netball hoop or allowing her to practice against the wall instead of practicing into the hoop. A progression of this activity is to add in a defender. Again, we are mimicking a real-life game situation. To finish the session, we produced a cool down. first start by rotating your arms forwards and then backwards. And next idea of a warm-up is the lunging towards each other. Then when you get to the middle, you throw the ball to your participant. It lowers your heart rate, you're slowing down, and you're stretching your muscles that have used all throughout the session. We describe a netball shot as a gross movement, as it is using a large muscle groups. The muscles used within the netball shot is your hamstrings, your quadriceps and your gluteus maximus. However, it does have some fine movements involved, such as your fingers during releasing the shot, as you can see Grace do it here. The shot in netball is also an open skill, as it is affected by the environment around you, area of the court and more importantly the defenders. In netball you are in a competitive environment where defenders are constantly pressing you, which means this skill is externally paced. A netball shot is also a discrete skill, as it's a clear beginning and end. You know when you're going to shoot and you know where it's going to end. The place that the netball shot is most applied as a transferable skill would be the shot in basketball, specifically the free throw. The only difference being that there is no outside pressure during the free throw in basketball, which makes it a closed skill. Although there are many similarities between the techniques and in the two sports, there are many different factors that make the shots different during execution. For example, in basketball the diameter of the basket is 80% greater than that of a basketball. However, a netball ring is only 65% greater than that of a netball, which means that an even higher degree of accuracy is needed in netball, hence the use of the three-throw technique. We hope you enjoyed watching our DVD on how to produce the perfect netball shot. We hope you take away some clear coaching points, some clear aims and objectives, and hopefully you've learnt something new today.